Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your sun in Leo and moon in Cancer. It's a very interesting combination because these two signs are adjacent to one another. Leo's a fire sign, Cancer is a water sign, and what I think they have in common is that they are both emotional. Leo is emotional in an impersonal way. I mean, of course, reacting to certain things in life will be personal, but just the basic way that Leo expresses emotions is coming from an objective vantage point, whereas the water signs, being feminine signs, are subjective. So the emotions are expressed through personal experiences. So the past really comes up with Cancer. Well, suffice it to say, when you have these together, you're going to get a very emotional person coming from both directions. And this can be good for certain things and it can be challenging for other things. Now, let's take the challenging first. When somebody is very emotional, they tend to be very reactive. So this combination, Leo is known for being dramatic, right? And this can extend to the type of um, hobbies that you have. You might be interested in the theater, or maybe even do it for a living. But with Cancer, you're talking about a person who sometimes may appear to live in the past. Cancer rules the fourth house of home and family and the past, childhood. But any time period that has come and gone, Cancer is all over that. And that's why Cancer people tend to have great memories as well as love history. Genealogy is connected to the fourth house, but you could, that's, your ancestors and studying that or organizing that, but also or researching, I should say. But anything historic, but your own childhood, your own memories of the good old days. There's a lot of sentimentality with Cancer, and then Leo has this romantic nature because everything that Leo does, they kind of blow up, so to speak, because Leo, being fire, is very expansive and that can exaggerate things or definitely just see that life is this amazing, maybe this magical thing, and why do we make it so bland, ordinary? Why don't we celebrate life? So the emotions, emotions are not bad in general. So even if you are emotional, it doesn't make you bad. It's just when you get in a situation where there is some kind of conflict where that might get blown up and then it creates drama. So that's something to really look at in your personal relationships is, do you tend to be more passionate or full of drama? Because sometimes people confuse the two and they can get involved in pretty negative relationships that are full of a lot of drama and confuse that with passion. Passion does not drain you. When you are with somebody that brings out your passion, it's going to inspire you. When you're in a drama filled relationship, there's always this sense that the other person is like it's almost like you're duking it out with that other person verbally, maybe with power plays, that kind of thing. And that is not passion. That is just straight up drama. So this combination can be very good for a person who is a creative individual, an artist. I know that not everybody does this for a living, but the sun can represent the person's aspirations. So the performing arts in particular can be really something that you make a beeline towards from an early age. And whether it's theater, dancing, music, those kinds of things. Obviously, you might be a painter, you might be a writer, a poet or something, but I really see the performing arts. Um, and that's just because Leo's a natural showman. And I have made this um, point before that when I was growing up, my pediatrician was in the local theater, and we would go see him doing like a certain play every year. And the reason that I bring that up is that medicine is so different than the arts. So if you find yourself in some kind of field that is completely, um, diametrically opposed to something creative, you can still do it as a hobby and you will feel that sense of fulfillment. So I'm not, trying to suggest you have to do that. I will say, in terms of career, that this combination I feel could be quite successful because, in terms of financial achievement, and I know that that's not really the ultimate of what your career is supposed to be about, but I want to make this point that I feel that Leo people tend to be financially successful in life because they like the finer things. Leo is a proud sign. Some people say Leo is an egotistical or a narcissistic sign. That's only true for those people that are imbalanced. Any sign can be a narcissist. I actually have a series of videos on the different signs in narcissism, so you can check my channel for proof that I do not think that Leo is the only narcissistic sign. But pride is something that has been uh, denigrated in recent years. Like, oh, yeah, if you're proud of something, it means that you are arrogant or, you think you're better than somebody else. No, it just means that you recognize your talents in a specific area and you feel uplifted by that and you feel confident that you have this gift to give the world. Okay. And Leo has this naturally. Most Leos are not insecure and they can toot their own horn very easily, for sure. But they're also generous. And I'm talking about, whether it has to do with compliments, but also financially. So they tend to like to have extra money to be able to live at the level where they feel a sense of pride that they have achieved success in their career and that it is reflected in their financial status. With Cancer as the moon sign, the moon is your emotional nature, but can also be your need for security. So with Cancer in the moon position, the person can be quite, security minded. So check your rising sign. If your rising sign is Capricorn, for instance, you may have come, or if you have Saturn in the first house, you may have come from financial deprivation, and this can, modify that sun sign tendency and make you more cautious financially. And there might be other ways where this would manifest too. If your Mars is in Taurus, well, no, that wouldn't necessarily do it. I would say, like, if your Mars is in Scorpio or even Cancer, something like that. The reason I say that is that, what is it that motivates you? There's multiple placements. I mean, it could even be house placement where this would, indicate otherwise. But in general, I would say that this combination would be quite good for money. And even if you are cautious with money, you still would feel compelled to make it. A lot of times people are. They might not spend it, but they want to make it. In terms of career itself, besides the arts, I really could see a teacher because I see leadership with Leo, and Leo actually rules the fifth house in astrology, and children are part of that. So working with children is a natural for Leo. Having your own children, definitely with the moon in Cancer too. That's the sign of the mother or the nurturer. So this is a perfect combination for a very eager parent. So who knows? Maybe some of you decide to homeschool because you want to be there. You want to raise your children and see them all the time. And you could be their teacher. So that could you might not have an outer profession where you're making money, but you're definitely hands-on parent. Um, this can be somebody who is great with entrepreneurship. Again, because Leo rules the fifth house, it can be the business that you own. And Leo is creative and, creating products. Um, Also, I would even say like a restaurateur or whatever, however you say that, or owning some kind of cafe where they serve food, because cancer can be the food industry. I just heard another astrologer talk about catering, but definitely I would say anything to do with food. And Leo, I could just see a Leo person having their own business doing that kind of thing. In terms of love, this is a very romantic combination. And Leo is a fixed sign, so there's always that sense of constancy with love. And because Cancer is a water sign, it adds depth to the emotions. The fire signs are sometimes accused of being insensitive, and the water element is very sensitive. But it's also tied to the past. So be careful if you are in a relationship that is not really working out for you, that you do not stay in it too long out of sentimentality, remembering the good times and forgetting about what is currently happening, because sometimes people do that. And while it may be true that you had good times with that person, if they're no longer there, then you're just clinging to the past. Um, One of the things I have said about Leo is that I believe it is a very lusty sign, one of the lustiest signs, meaning that the uh, physical attraction can take precedence in your motivation to get involved with someone, and that can hold your interest far longer than maybe it should, and that can invite toxic relationships into your life. So you have to really be careful, and this is for men and women, about getting physical too early on instead of building a friendship with a person. Maybe that sounds like an old-fashioned attitude, but I don't think I'm one of those people, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If something stands the test of time, it doesn't matter if it's old, in old-fashioned. It might be right on the money. And sometimes, I would say, like, as a woman, a female, it's a very interesting combination, because the Leo, the fire element is masculine and the water element is feminine. So oftentimes you will see with female Leos who are heterosexual that they tend to be very aggressive in relationships. They may even make the first move on a guy. And the problem is that sometimes unwittingly, or unconsciously, whatever you want to say, they you will see a female Leo being going after a man who is, perhaps, I'm not saying this is true 100% of the time, but a earth or a water sign, because they can sense the feminine energy, or somebody who is more passive, and they may feel like more competitive with a man who's a fire sign or an air sign, because those types of men tend to be very similar in their approach. And sometimes with, it depends on how you were raised and what relationship, if you're a female Leo, what relationship you had with your father. Because sometimes, if it was a negative one, the woman may choose a passive male just so she can have a dominant, uh, she can dominate him. And she may not be doing this consciously and plotting it out, but it still comes out that way. And I, I call this the Guy Ritchie syndrome. When Madonna, who's a Leo, married a uh, a Virgo man, and they were calling him Mr. Madonna, even though he is a film director. He had his own life. He wasn't just a boy toy or anything like that. But it was, and don't even get me started on Madonna these days. Her, but at that time, she was, still a big deal. I don't remember when she got with him, but it was really like they were really trying to show like that he was really her. He was like, her Mr. Madonna and all that stuff. So they eventually split up, and I wouldn't be surprised if part of this had to do with the fact that he did not appreciate that. But the thing is, it's like interesting because he was a Virgo, or he is a Virgo, and she had been with Sean Penn, who I believe is also a Leo, and that did not go over very well, and apparently he did not treat her very well. But that is the toxic side of like what a fire sign can do. That doesn't mean all fire sign men are like that. As a matter of fact, if you are a fire sign woman, you will see, if you, because I'm a Sagittarian, so um, my partner is a Sagittarian. I have noticed this time and time again that the air sign males and the fire sign males tend to be very progressive towards women, whereas the earth and water sign males tend to treat women in a more traditional manner. Now, I'm I think that if you're past 40, this is more relevant. I can't really speak to the younger generations because it seems like the gender roles have flipped, where the males are more like the women used to be, and they're more passive, and the women are just naturally more aggressive. So maybe if you're younger, this isn't going to really resonate with you. But I just wanted to point that out, is that if you're, but it could, because I do notice that there are a lot of younger women who seem to resent alpha males, or, and it doesn't even have to be alpha males, men that aren't just like completely, I I would say like cucked out, like they're just completely passive and they're just like completely whipped. You know, the divine masculine has to exist. You can't just have the divine feminine. They both have to exist. You can't have this neutered type of male. So when you're choosing a partner, keep in mind that you have this moon in Cancer. So which one is dominant? I can't really answer that because it depends on the other influences from inner planets and your rising sign, of how you've been raised, how, like conditioned, and other astrological influences, your chart itself. But the thing is that you don't, be very careful in general about the type of person that you are trying to cultivate a relationship with, because you are very emotional and you can get very attached. And I guess where I was going with what I was saying is that I could see a Leo woman who thinks that she is big and bad, and that she can like just have, friends with benefits, and she doesn't care, you know, because she does have a very, she might have a high sex drive, that she thinks that she can just get away with it, and that she's not, her heart isn't going to get in there. But there could be like an unconscious desire to kind of get into a relationship and thinking that that's the way that you have to do it. So being more old fashioned might actually give you what you want if you're looking for a relationship. Because Cancer is a sign that is very, I would even call it persistent or aggressive, because it's a cardinal sign in love. The actually the Leo is persistent, being a fixed sign. So you don't want to complicate your life by having a one-dimensional relationship or an unrequited love where the other person may, want that physical relationship, but not want to settle down. I think that this combination definitely wants to settle down, that marriage is definitely on your um, radar. I could be wrong about that, but I know that I do feel that Cancer is a traditional sign and it's dealing with your emotional nature. And Leo, being a fixed sign, wants something that they can count on. And so sometimes people feel insecure when they're living with someone because they feel like, I don't have that license. I don't have that. I mean, to me, it's silly because I don't think that you can keep anybody by getting legally married to them. But I do, I do think that there are certain situations where, um, like having children, where it might be more prudent to do something like that. But and I also respect other people's feelings, if they want, if that is meaningful symbolism to them, or a ritual, or whatever you want to call it. Then that's not what, why I was saying that I thought was silly. I was saying if somebody thinks that they can keep somebody that way. But I don't think it's silly to want to do it if if you're very intentional about getting married. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.